Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Marco Tonali as usual. Today I'm going to be talking about recycled computer parts and e-waste. So I'm glad to have the opportunity to share my thoughts on how to inform people on how to use recycled computer parts. So have you ever wondered where all those broken computers go? Well, I'll be talking about how recycled parts can be properly used because they're a hazard to the environment if not properly recycled. I will also be talking about what people mainly use these parts for, including making new computers or just making your own computer. So I chose this topic because it's interesting to see how recycled parts are put back into service and how they affect the environment if not recycled. Personally, the only use I really know about in reusing the parts is to build new computers. And as for the topic of computer recycling or e-waste recycling, it's basically the disassembly and separation of components and raw materials of waste electronics. And most of them aren't reused, but donating them and helping repair them will just make it more sustainable instead of disposing it to waste. And basically that's just computer recycling straight up. So I'm sure we've all had some type of electronic device that isn't used anymore in our house, or we have gotten rid of others, but it's important to just not trash them, rather recycle them and reuse. So electronic parts are probably the most useful recycled part that we have because we all live in this new age of electronic based everything. So it's important to see why you should be recycling these parts and not just throwing them away and wasting them. So recycled parts. It's pretty safe to say that recycling is good because we all know that whatever we recycle will most likely end up somewhere that people use those items to make new items or just, throw it back in the rotation of things. As for electronics, it's pretty good to recycle those parts because most of the time, the electronics we recycle are phones and computers of some sort, such as a video game console, or just a straight up desktop, or your old iPhone, or even an iPod, if anybody uses those anymore. Anyways, the parts that come from those items are reused in making new versions of the same item, or they go into making new and improved versions of those items that just happen to use the same parts. Some pros and cons of this computer recycling are, so there are health benefits and economic benefits, as well as allowing more jobs to come into play. And of course, it conserves resources instead of abusing them, as well as supporting the community. Some cons would be the sorting, which is going through all the parts and just organizing them out of huge waste piles, and that's pretty hard in itself. And with that, they may be leaving some useful ones left out there to trash just because there's so many parts. So that's why they have sorting. And also some used parts might be toxic from the use of them, just from overuse and just all those toxins coming out because of how much they've been used, so they've already been exposed. But also recycling all this prevents the donation of it to others because other people can use it for other things, or just it might go to trash or not even donated. So as far as the benefits go though, the health benefit may be something that jumps out at you. So if you were to dump e-waste into landfills, it could result in the release of chemicals, which is obviously harmful to the environment as well as to our lungs and just our overall health. But furthermore, it can affect the soil and the gravel of the land beneath us because it poisons the dirt. As for the details on these landfills, about 13% of the e-waste is recycled, and over half of the electronics that end up there are not appropriately done with their electronic lifetime, so they're not even fully used to where they just won't work anymore. So a lot of people just waste them instead of properly using them and then recycling them. And it's amazing how only 13% of the e-waste is actually recycled, and there's over, I think it was 2.5 million electronics all around the world are recycled, and only 13% of them are actually reused and properly recycled. I just thought that was a decent stat. As for my own personal experience, I know some of my friends and others around the world build their own computers for gaming or just have a high-end computer, but for cheaper because they can buy the parts themselves and make it themselves. And they just order it and build it themselves, but these parts come from recycled computers, and I just thought that was neat because I never even thought of building your own motherboard for a computer so you can know exactly what you're getting out of your PC instead of just buying one and not knowing what's in it exactly. So, what I've discussed today was how recycled parts are used and how they affect the earth and our health, as well as some pros and cons, and also just the importance of recycling these parts and how e-waste helps a lot in the environment. And with all that, now I hope you understand why we should recycle electronics, also just being more aware of what happens and where those parts go in the world, and when you are done with them. I enjoyed the time I had, so thank you. But before I go, I have a sorry if I can pull it up here. I'm just gonna show my presentation real quick. So let me set this up. All right, so this is what I would have had. It's just a little title page: recycle parts, e-waste, and then I just have this quick stat for recyclable electronics. So, considering that around 90% of the electronic equipment is recyclable, electronics recycling can play a significant role in creating employment. This is because new firms dealing with electronics recycling will form and existing firms will look to employ more people to recover those materials. This can be triggered by the increase in demand for electronics recycling. My bad. And then on this last page, I just have a list of the advantages and disadvantages. So as I talked about in my speech, there's health benefits, economic benefits, more jobs, conserves resources, supports the community, and prevents abuse of resources. Disadvantages: sorting toxic materials, preventing donation, and then identity theft is something I didn't talk about, but pretty much self-explanatory, because if you leave a SIM card in a phone or something, there could be identity theft. That's why you should just recycle instead of wasting them. And then I just had a quick video here. I just wanted to show the first minute and a half of this. We gotta get past this ad real quick. Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking. So I'm just gonna play the first minute for you.
When that computer no longer works, the only thing it's good for is a paperweight to clutter up their desks. But they couldn't be more wrong. These men work for a new breed of recycler who has discovered gold in old hard drives. Hidden within your old computer.
This video is kind of old, but it applies to today, so.
The circuit board contains silver and copper, and the microprocessor is laced with gold. All of which are good conductors that carried electrical signals around your computer. The old computers are sent to a plant which salvages their precious metals. First, the outer casings are taken off. Cables are unplugged and disposed of. And then all that remains are the chips and processors. All these components were worth a fortune when they were brand new, but now they would be worth nothing if they were on a rubbish pile. This company will make a handsome profit though. 1 ton of old computers could fetch them £6,500.
And that was just my quick little presentation. So, and with that, thank you guys.